Welcome to the Note to Self podcast. I'm your host, Zoe Ariel, an adventurous entrepreneur who loves to make the most out of life. I'm a certified professional life coach, digital course creator, verified YouTuber, and published author. On this podcast, you can expect actionable tips, reflections, and inspiration to live your best, most fulfilling life. So, let's get started. Hello, angels. Welcome back to Note to Self. In today's episode, I am so excited to share with you one of my very best friends, Grayson Waataja. Grayson is actually the host of the podcast Sweet Clarity. Those of you who follow along on my social media have most likely seen a lot of Grayson. Perhaps you even follow her. And I'm going to be linking Sweet Clarity down below because I know if you love this podcast, you're going to absolutely love hers. I personally call Grayson the Clarity Master because she has just granted me so much clarity in my life through sharing her words, her truth, and her wisdom with all of us. It's available to all of us through her podcast and through her social media. So check out those links down below. And today I'm going to be sharing an exclusive interview that I had with Grayson as one of the bonuses in the Digital Nomad Academy. So right now I am launching the Digital Nomad Academy for its second round. This is my 6-month business mentoring and life coaching program, which will take you and your digital business to the next level, or it will allow you to make the leap into a next level of abundance and freedom and joy and a fulfilling life for yourself. Right now, you can get $500 off the pay in full option of the Digital Nomad Academy, which means you can get this entire 6-month program, all of the incredible bonuses worth over $2,000, monthly live coaching Q&A sessions with me for 6 months and beyond, because once you're a member of the Digital Nomad Academy, you remain a member for life, and every time I add new content or hold another round, you will get access to all the abundance. And if you get in now at this price point, this is the least expensive it will ever be. So you can use the promo code DNA Early Bird. These details will be in the show notes, and that will allow you to get the entire 6-month program for $1,000. So that's incredible. There's also payment plans, so you can actually enter into a 12-month payment plan and pay $150 a month. And this is also an incredible option because for me personally, I love payment plans. Anytime that I work with coaches or buy into programs, I always choose the payment plan option because I find it keeps me accountable. As in, I stay dedicated because I see, like, let's say, oh, that payment coming out of my card each month. Okay, I'm energetically in training to this program and dedicating my time to it each and every week. In the Digital Nomad Academy, you get a new module every week for 6 months, and plus the bonuses whenever those drop, plus the Q&As whenever those drop. So I'm super excited about this. This is my signature program. This is my life's work. This is everything that I've learned and embodied over the last close to 7 years of being a digital entrepreneur. Through all my trial and error, through all of my experiences, I'm sharing all of my abundance and wisdom with you. So DNA will be linked down below. Definitely check out that sales page and enjoy this incredible interview with Grayson. It's going to inspire you about your realm of possibilities because Grayson made the leap for herself. She's also a DNA alumni. Grayson has become a life purpose coach. She lives in Bali right now. She has a retreat business that she started in Bali. She's got so much wisdom to share with you. So buckle up and have so much fun in this episode. All right, everyone. Welcome to another inspiring interview. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to one of my very best friends, Grayson Waataja. And Grayson has so much to share with you. Like, you've got so much inspiration, so much wisdom. You're such a wise soul and you have such like vibrant energy. So I'm really excited for the audience to meet you today and learn from you. So Grayson, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Zoe. I'm really, really happy to be here. And yeah, I just want to start by saying, like, I'm really inspired to talk to like these people watching, Digital Nomad Academy, because I'm very much in this new stage myself. I'm just a year into this journey. So I feel like I'm very much in it with you guys. So just to give you a little background, my name is Grayson and I am from the US. And I moved to New York for college. I studied dance and basically thought I was going to be on Broadway. I wanted to be a professional dancer. And then the universe had other plans. I was on the wrong life path. And I actually manifested a really serious injury to my lower back at my senior year of college. And so I had to face the reality that dance wasn't in my future, and how I really healed my back and came into this new life and new reality was through yoga. And so I had a doctor tell me that I was going to have to get surgery on my spine, and I said absolutely not. I'm going to heal holistically. And so I really studied yoga. I had acupuncture all the time. I had physical therapy all the time. And I really transformed my body in a holistic approach. And it was in that season of my life where I really fell in love with yoga because of the healing powers of it. And so I knew I wanted to go deeper in my practice. And so at that time, I was working at a cocktail lounge in New York City, working very late hours of the night, on my feet all the time. It was really hard on the body to go through that and just be constantly like giving energy and not really be admired for the gifts that I actually have, you know. And so it was winter and I decided I'm going to go to Bali and I'm going to study yoga. So I enrolled in a 200-hour yoga teacher training, and I chose to do March of 2020. And I got to Bali and it was incredible. It was exactly what I wanted. You know, it was warm and tropical, and I was studying yoga every day. And the universe also was like, we're going to just throw a global pandemic in your life. So I was like, oh, fantastic. So I ended up not going back to New York City, but I actually went back to South Carolina where my parents live. During this time, I was unemployed. I no longer had my own apartment. And I had not even finished the yoga teacher training. We got 2 out of the 3 weeks completed. So I didn't even have my certificate. Everything was paused. And it was in that season of reflection and turning inward and really taking a look at my life and like what I wanted to create, was when all of this spaciousness started to appear. And I was diving into personal development, and I was just getting really invested into my morning routine and like trying to make something new, you know, something out of nothing. And that was when I had the clearest intuitive download come through, where I became super devoted to discovering my life purpose. It was really like COVID was just like, I mean, obviously we can all agree, like there was life before COVID and there's life after COVID. And I knew that moving forward, life was going to be completely different, and it was going to be on my terms, what I wanted to do, the reality I wanted to live. And so I started to pull pieces together from like my past experience, my skills, what I'm good at, my interests, my passions. I started to just form this thing that I wasn't really sure what it looked like, but I was just like in this really abundant inspiration phase. And I decided that I was going to go back to Bali long term with I was like one-way ticket vibes, you know, I was going to move there because I had nothing holding me back. And that was the first time in my life that I was able to do so. And so I was thinking on this. I was like, well, what am I going to do in Bali? You know, like, what am I good at? What can I offer this world? And when I was reflecting on like my own life purpose, I started to get some answers from the universe. And I had this idea to create a retreat business in Bali. And that felt so good to me. It felt like such an aligned decision. And when I was wondering and thinking about and going into the quantum field about what I was going to do with my retreat guests, like what would be the thing that they would come to me for, it would be for them to also discover their own life purpose. And so I created this entire retreat. I named it Clarifino, which it comes from the word clarity, which is a very important core value of mine. I think clarity is like the foundation of our life purpose. And so I ran with it, and it was so divine in how it unfolded. I originally was going to have my first retreat in November of 2021, but the borders weren't even open yet to Bali. Like this pandemic lasted a bit longer than we all kind of anticipated. So I postponed that 6 months, and I held my first retreat in May. And it was absolutely amazing. It lit me up so much. And Zoe was a part of it. She came in with her beautiful gifts of coaching. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. So it all was created out of the spaciousness that I had in my life, of not having anything holding me back and just really getting clear on what my gifts are and how I can be of service. And then through that, after the retreat, I was simultaneously getting my certification in life purpose coaching, which is funny how that happened because the retreat idea came first. And then I stumbled upon the Dharma Coaching Institute, which was the answer to every single how. It was like, how am I going to have people, discover their life purpose? Like, I know it's so deeply important to me, but I need some tools, right? And so I stumbled upon this coaching program. It was the most aligned thing I could have ever found. And so as I was integrating into Bali for the first like 5 or 6 months, I was also going through this training program. So I have my one-on-one coaching practice, I have the retreat business, and then also throughout that journey, I launched a podcast as well because I found out that my voice is a very important medium for me to express myself. And so it was just a natural progression to launch my own podcast. And here we are today. And still doing the coaching, the podcasting, and going to dive into those and hone back on the retreat for now. But in the future, for sure, going to keep inviting people to Bali and keep having them experience this amazing island that completely changed my life.
Yes. Grayson, thank you so much. So inspirational, of course. And it's just so beautiful to listen to your story. And what I really love about what you just shared is that simultaneously you were moving through your coaching program, also making the move to Bali. Like you didn't wait, right? You gave yourself full permission to just allow these things to unfold as you felt passionately drawn and called to them, right? Whereas some people might say, I'll move to Bali after I get my coaching certification, after I figure out XYZ. And there's so much power in making that leap for yourself because you learn so many lessons in doing that and giving yourself full permission to live out your full expression. So I want to ask you about that. Like, what was sort of the mindset work around deciding, hey, I've got these passions, I'm being drawn to these places, whether it's Dharma Coaching Institute and Bali. What was the mindset work behind giving yourself permission to let yourself take your path and not have it look like one thing and then waiting and then giving yourself permission to take action?
Yeah, I think it all comes back to clarity, honestly. Like when you, and I'm sure you can, attest to this too, Zoe. It's like when you get these ideas that come in out of like what seems like nowhere, it feels so strongly aligned with you that you just can't possibly not take action because there's so much like resonance in your being. So to not take action would be a disservice because when we get these ideas coming through, we get them because people outside are calling for them. And it's like your soul is the one that's meant to bring this to life for them, to be of service. And so when it came to like that decision and just reflecting on how quickly it happened and how everything kind of happened all together, like at the same time, I think it was just confirmation from the universe. Like, this is what you need, and just keep following what feels aligned and good. And yeah, I'm really happy with just how quickly it all started, to happen. And I was reflecting on this just the other day on January 15th, 2021. I was sitting at the kitchen table at my parents' house and I was just like praying, I was like, I'm making a commitment to myself that I'm going to devote the next, however long I have on earth to live my life purpose. And I was so serious about that commitment. And as soon as that commitment happened was when these ideas came. The retreat business, the coaching business, everything presented itself in divine timing. And I really have so much gratitude for just the commitment and the devotion and the discipline that I made to myself at that moment in time. And that was only 2 years ago. So seeing where this is taking me is really exciting because I'm still young. I'm in my mid-20s. So just holding that commitment is so important to me to see where I'm going from here.
Yes. And what I love about that, like that commitment to yourself, is that's how we really build self-trust and self-love, because you're showing up for yourself. You're committing to your vision and what you feel inside, right? And that itself is so powerful. And I'd love to touch a little bit on clarity, because this is, you've got the clarity codes. This is your gift. Like you can bring clarity to chaos. And like, it's, I mean, it's such an honor to be your friend, because there's been so many times where I'm like, I don't know what to do, Grace. And you're like, okay, well, here's how we find the answers. Here's how we get the clarity. So I mean, I'd love it if you just intuitively speak into clarity, and we'll see where we go here and the importance of it. Because I think just as you're speaking into these commitments for yourself, you've got to have clarity to have those commitments. You've got to have clarity to take action, or else sometimes we feel like we've got paralysis by analysis, or there's just overwhelm and inability to take action. So let's go for those clarity codes.
Yes, this is like my favorite thing to talk about. And I've really been like studying this. Like I've been like in total inquiry of what clarity is. And especially just like as a life purpose coach, I just see it's just so important. It's just so necessary when we're on this path to finding purpose. So how I view clarity at this moment in time, it's something to me that's always present. It's kind of like the concept of time. We're surrounded by it. Like time, it like moves life. Like we're just always here. You know, it's always evolving. And that's how I feel about clarity. It's like it's always here. It's just a matter of if we give it space and room, if we enable our eyes to see it. And I ask for clarity. Like I write in my journal, I'm asking questions. I'm like, please make this clear. Like, help me see the way, like all of these things. And every time I just take a moment and I just breathe and I slow down and I create more spaciousness, it always comes. It's just inevitable. And that brings me to mentioning like the way that we can make sense of something is to see what the opposite is, because our mind likes to, you know, see the light and the shadows of things to make sense. So for me, the opposite of clarity is confusion and chaos. And so when we feel overwhelmed with life, if everything feels chaotic, if we're confused on our direction, that's the opposite of clarity. That's the opposite of what we want, really. So in order to quiet the noise and to really come back into a state of receiving clarity, it's just so important to slow down and to be quiet and like be in solitude, because it's in those places of solitude where we can truly access our essence, because that's who we are at our core when we're alone. And I had much time to be alone, you know, during the pandemic and moving to Bali. And I was just by myself for a long time. And that's how I kept getting these messages of like what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, clarity is really, really important to me. And I actually named my podcast Sweet Clarity, because it's just a place where I go to once a week to talk about the things that I'm finding clarity on and the things I'm working through, and just sharing my perspective on whatever is coming up with me here in life. And it's insanely important to me, and it really comes through with everything that I do.
Yes, it truly does. You've got clarity fully embodied. And what's beautiful about being in your presence is like, you know, the codes, they're just like activated because that's just who you are. And like with that, with understanding clarity, what tools do you feel like are the most powerful? You know, you said taking time to yourself to create spaciousness and just like take a deep breath. What tools have you found that have been the most helpful to you in creating clarity?
Mm-hmm. Number one, I mean, I'm considering this a tool, but morning routines. This is how I'm able to be clear every day. I personally like to wake up before the sun rises because I like that darkness, that quietness. I like to feel like I'm awake before anybody else, because I can just take all of the energy from the earth and like the sun that's coming up, and I just bring it out into the world. So for the day. So morning routines, and then also specifically journaling. So to begin each day, I start with embodiment work with like stretching and yoga and just getting into my body and getting everything moving. And then I sit down at my desk and I journal. And I've cultivated this entire process, but basically I just stream of consciousness, get whatever out needs to come out. I tap into my intention for the day. I have an I have received list, which I learned from Zoe, which is really powerful. And then I do a gratitude list and just really reflect on how I'm so grateful for what I have. And then I finalize with writing a letter to the universe, asking for clarity, asking for anything I need help on, and And that's just how I do every day. And I would feel lost without it. And I would feel chaotic. I would feel confused if I didn't start each day in such a way that makes me feel ready to conquer the day.
Yes, so powerful. And it's so simple in nature, right? Like it's like, okay, spending quality time with myself. How do I express, reflect, and get what's on the inside out to be able to see things more clearly? So powerful. And I want to switch over now, like in regards to clarity and Clarifino and everything that you created around your retreat company. Like this is something that's so special. And I really want to like celebrate this for you because that could, and I'm sure it was like at the time of having this vision, it might have felt very audacious. Like, wow, how am I going to create that? Like, how am I going to move to Bali and, host retreats? How does that happen? Tell us more about that journey for you, like how you just knew you had to walk out that desire and how you made it happen, how you just went for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared. It was waves of self-doubt and believing myself, which is like so normal and natural on the journey of being an entrepreneur and like doing a big scary thing and bringing a vision to life. It's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. So I do want to say like it was scary, but in that scariness and the fear, that's where your comfort zone, you have to make a choice to step outside of it. And this was the ultimate thing that really showed me what is possible of what I'm capable of. Here I was at the time of launching that. I think I was 24. And I was like, who am I to do this? Right. It was like all this imposter syndrome came up, but I just knew like that was what my soul came to earth for. Because in my previous job experience, I worked in the wedding industry. Hosting events was really inspiring to me. Following a timeline of a wedding, making sure everyone had everything they needed, was coordinating with a photographer and videographer and the bride and the groom. Like I lit up in that job. And that's how I knew moving forward, I wanted to bring people together for an event and then manage it and like operate it and create the schedule for it. Like it was all of these roles and these tasks about retreats really was just a no-brainer for me. But the journey of hosting it and like pulling it all together, I dove into some aspects of my astrology. One in particular is my North Node, which if you have heard about the North Node or not, basically it's your life purpose in essence. So part of my essence is to collaborate and to work with a team and like have a community around me, which is the sign of Libra for the North Node. And I knew that this retreat wasn't all mine. I knew I was here to create it, but I also knew that I was here to bring in other inspiring people to share their gifts. And so I crafted a 7-day retreat where each day I had an amazing friend of mine that I met in Bali come in and share their gifts with my group. Zoe being one of them, the most amazing coach I've ever met in my life. I was like, she's going to come in for day 1 and she's going to really like show them like how to go into their psyche, work through the limiting beliefs and just like have them dream about what's possible for them. Right. And so I met a yoga teacher here in the past year or so and brought him in to teach a few classes. And then I had an amazing soul reader who was a friend I met at the beginning of my Bali journey. She came in to do soul readings. And then I had a sound healer, right? So all of these people, I just kind of like built this tribe. I called them the soul team. And I knew like I was just really here to create the stage. Like I'm not here to do everything by myself. If I honor the North Node, if I honor the fact that I'm here for collaboration, then I know that I'm in human design, I'm manifesting generator. So I'm here to manifest or initiate the things of my business and my entrepreneurial life, but not necessarily do them all by myself. Like I have the energy and I have the ideas to initiate, but my North Node shows me I'm here to bring together a group with me. So that relieved a lot of the pressure and the stress because I knew I was never doing this alone. I'm here to rally up the troops and I'm here to like really infuse my retreat guests with the most potent love and transformation that I could possibly do.
Yes. I mean, I just have like confirmation chills just hearing you share that because it speaks into a few things. One of the things that comes to mind is like of the hero's journey. So one of the steps of the hero's journey is the resistance to the call. It's like knowing, oh, I have to do that, right? Like I have to maybe move into live events or like holding retreats. And then it's like, oh, who am I to do that, right? One of the steps of the hero's journey is then just like being like, who am I not to? And getting out of the way. And just like you said, it's so much more beyond you, right? Because there were obviously souls who attended that retreat, who were also a part of that retreat, who were calling in that experience into their reality. So the timeline, like it was inevitable that that would happen. It was inevitable that would be successful. And the draw and pull that you had to create this was because it was already set in the quantum field and you were the exact person to deliver that. And then as soon as you get out of your own way, or like create space, because of course self-doubt is a part of the journey and it may arise here, there, and throughout the entire process. But as soon as you accepted the call, right, and claimed that reality, claimed that outcome, right, acceptance of the end wills the means to that end, things start to move into alignment much faster. And then of course, like you start meeting all the people and you're like, wow, this is just so easy. It just fits. Right? It's that effortless ease. And that's what happens when you accept your passions, when you align with them and you're like, these are my gifts. I know what I'm here to do. And I'm going to put them all into action. And even like, you know, specifics of it, you being lit up by the wedding event business, right? Like you're like, I love the timeline. I love like structure. You applied the things that you're good at and created something that was so uniquely yours and so special. So where I want to go from here is, what was it like holding space at a retreat and working with people in person, feeling into their energy and working with also what you had intended for everyone and the plan of day to day, but also feeling into the energy of the guests and what they needed?
Mm-hmm. I was really intentional about the weekly schedule. Each day had an intention, and I really crafted each moment with a lot of intention behind that detail in order to guide them through this transformation. And so around day 3, we all collectively noticed that everything got just super deep. The guests became really close with one another. Like it was all just unfolding so well. And I think that was a really big part of it, was I allowed enough free time each day, but also enough workshops each day. Like it was very balanced. And then I was also very open to their desires, you know, like they wanted to go for a nature walk. And so I rearranged the schedule to make that happen. And they just wanted to experience Bali and go outside. And I was completely okay with that because it's a co-creative experience and it's really for them. And how just being there was enough. You know, I didn't have to show up and have all these bells and whistles and do things that were like not really me, but it was just like them coming to Bali was already the transformation, right? Like and Zoe says this a lot. It's like the transformation starts with the transaction. So whenever we're doing a personal development course or hiring a coach or paying for a retreat, the transformation's already begun the moment we pass over that investment. And that's really what I saw. It was just so effortless. Like that's the word that kept coming to me as I was going up day by day and leading this. It was so effortless. Like it really, there was no stress. And that's how I know all is well, like confirmation of what I'm supposed to be doing, right? It was easy, it was fun, it was effortless. And I mean, the transformations were beyond what I could have ever hoped. Mm-hmm. So many girls got downloads about their life purpose. And one of them right now, even during the sound healing, she got the download that she needed to go to Nepal. And that was like on her journey. And at this moment in time, she's living in Nepal from that retreat, which is, it just makes my heart so full knowing that I provided that experience to give someone clarity on their journey and their life purpose and where they're supposed to live in this world. And that makes me just the most fulfilled knowing that I made such an impact for someone.
Yes. So beautiful, Grayson. I mean, all the confirmation chills and just being a part of that was so special for me. And just to hear about how this all went, like watching you set up this retreat, work on it for a period of time, have it happen. And then the version of you that is on the other side of that retreat. I want to ask you, how did you see yourself differently in the world after giving yourself permission to execute this retreat and moving through that entire experience? Who was Grayson before she entered, and who is she after she completed this for herself?
That is a great question. I think what really stands out to me is that it's like this playing big energy and just like putting myself out there. That really showed me what is possible for me. Putting myself out there, not knowing if it's going to work out, but just trusting that I'm being led to do this. And I always come back, like one of my affirmations is that our soul will never leave us hanging. And so if you're feeling divinely guided to do a certain thing, if it's launching whatever course or program or retreat, your soul's not going to leave you hanging if you had that divine guidance. And so I just like really came back to that. I was like, I'm doing this for a reason. And after the retreat ended, I really felt like a completely different human. I felt powerful and empowered and inspiring and just like so proud of myself. So it was like over a year in the making, which is a long time to be focusing your energy on a 1 week experience. I felt I needed that time to allow the retreat to be what it was going to be. And a beautiful piece of advice that I got from the soul reader that came into the work, she told me that I need to detach from the outcome. Because when we detach from the outcome, when we're planning something, it allows it to create a life of its own. Because if we have a specific thing in mind about what this thing is going to look like and how many people are going to come and how it's going to run, we're actually keeping ourselves inhibited. We're keeping ourselves playing small.
I love the power of detachment, right? And letting a vision unfold in its natural nature. I mean, it's so easy for us as humans to be attached to the way that we want things to be or exercise that control, but magic really happens when we let things move into the unknown or let them unfold the way that they could. And I know one of our favorite affirmation things to say is like, it just keeps getting better and better. Like, show me how good it gets. Like it's in that, like when we open up to receive what the universe is teaching us and showing us, that's when it is better than we could ever expect. And then we trust more in that journey. And like another place that I would love to speak to you about is embodiment, because I feel like this is something you've personally helped me with so much. Like you've definitely got like embodiment codes. And so yeah, like I feel like there's so many different places we can go with this, but how has connecting with your body led you towards more empowerment and trust and honoring of your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything because when we are like sitting at our desk on our computer, like whatever we're doing, working online, there has to be a balance with that. The body needs movement and it needs the flow of energy. Otherwise, if we wake up first thing, get to the desk and just start working, it's not sustainable. And pretty much my entire life, like I grew up as a dancer. And so the embodiment was really ingrained from a young age. Like I started with ballet at 4 years old and I did that for 20 years. And so that was so integral with just like how I grew up and just I need to move. I listen to music, I just move. I'm talking it with my hands, like it's just part of me. And so I think when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey, having an embodiment practice is key. Like this is the thing that will sustain your energy. This is the thing that will allow you to have the ideas and to create what is meant to come through you and to just clear your vessel. And so that's why every single day I just roll out my yoga mat and I just move my spine and I just like get into my body and I take deep breaths. And it really makes such a difference because without that, I don't even know. It's like creating from a place of force. If we aren't in our body, it's just like, how can I push out something just to create something? But when we're in our bodies, which is like the feminine energy of receiving, we're tapped in so we can receive the ideas and we can create from a flow state, which is so important. So yeah, it's like understanding how your body best gets into a flow state to create what is meant to come through you.
Yes. So powerful too, because what comes to mind as well as like what we've worked on in DNA is really understanding the nervous system and really finding safety in that and neutralizing that or regulating it before taking action, because then that allows you to be that clear channel, that clear vessel for the intuitive ideas and downloads to come in. And I'm certain that these morning practices, for example, yoga, or if you're stretching, that's when some ideas come in for the day. And just like you said, it's not forceful when it's coming from the body. It's more of like relaxed receptivity of those ideas. And then also the abundance that comes from putting your gifts out there in the world. And it's not forced. What I found personally is like my mind used to always create, there's so many things on the to-do list. There's so many things I need to get done. And then there's a forceful energy about it. And I might perceive when I fall back into that state from time to time, or in the past when I pretty much lived in that state, I'm like, there's like a million things on the to-do list. It's going to take me like 6 hours to get through this today, and I'm going to have to hustle and like drink a bunch of espresso. But what I found is that when I'm dropped into the body, all of those like 6 hours, all those to-dos can be fun, enjoyable, and take an hour or two. Like the efficiency that happens when you're dropped into your body is like a secret weapon if you're not already aware of it in ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The body is like our instrument, it's a tool, and we need to learn how to be friends with it. Like how can we nourish it with like the right foods? How can we nourish it with the movement that it needs? Because we're going to have this body for our entire life. We might as well learn how it works best, how to optimize our energy, and how to like take care of it, because it's here for us. We need to love it. It's such a part of the journey. And so caring for yourself, caring for it in so many ways is going to help us live our purpose and live these ideas out into completion. So yeah, it's really important.
Yes. And I mean, speaking of living your purpose and expressing that out into the world, I'd love it if we touch on your podcast, Sweet Clarity. So, I mean, your podcast is amazing. It's just like clarity codes on clarity codes, like you mentioned as well. And it will be linked down below for you guys to check out as well. You've been podcasting for over a year. So I'd love if we could speak into first, like how you knew that was your medium and how you decided to take action, because naturally, of course, there was probably resistance of some kinds showing up. Like, I'm going to do something I've never done before, moving into that unknown. How has that journey been for you from taking that leap and doing it, committing for a year, and then who you are now a year later?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, I would love to talk about this. So I got the idea to make a podcast through a really intense heartbreak that I experienced last year. And in that heartbreak, I started to create a video journal, which is when I would just flip my phone onto video on selfie mode and I would just talk. And I would just like express myself. And it wasn't for anybody. I didn't post this anywhere. I didn't really do anything with it other than I would watch some videos back if I felt the calling. And then I started to think, I was like, wow, I'm actually, sharing some great wisdom. I was like, this actually could help a lot of people. At the first thought was like, maybe I should make like a heartbreak podcast where I just like help girls that are feeling the way that I'm feeling. And then perfectionism kicked in. And so I had this period of about 4 months where I knew I wanted to do the podcast. It was so exciting for me, but I was so overcome with perfectionism that it took me 4 months to launch. So that was a big hurdle that I had to overcome. And then I launched it November of last year. So it has been a little over a year now. And what I want to say about this, I know we've had a module about podcasting. It's to give yourself permission to not be good in the beginning, right? Like this is something you've never done before. But podcasting, it will get better with experience, and I've listened back to a few of my early episodes, and I'm just so thankful that she started when she did. One of my business mentors, she has this quote and I love it. And so I'm going to share it. It's, a year from now, you will have a year of experience. And I really apply that to my podcast, because if you have an idea right now for a podcast, start now, because a year from now, you will have a year of experience and you don't even know what's possible with having that under your belt. Financial income, your reputation, your business, having a podcast helps in so many ways. And there's so much fear around that, of starting, perfectionism, the fear of being seen, like what will people think about me? But if you feel called, that means your voice needs to be shared. People are calling for your ideas and your perspective. So it's one of my favorite things that I have in my business, because it's the place that I go to express, and also where I make sense of my thoughts. Because as a Gemini, I talk what I think. And that's how I understand myself. It's through expression with my voice. And so just having this diary up on the internet of my thoughts and allowing the transformation to just be there like an archive. I'm obsessed with that idea. It's so personal to me. And I'm just so thankful for that girl who started when she did, because now it's so important to my business and just my expression of my purpose.
Yes. Thank you, Grayson. Thank you for sharing that, because I just know that there are so many souls out there who just need to hear that message of like, give yourself permission just to start. It doesn't matter what it looks like, right? And get out of your own way and start to break those paradigms that are existing within around perfectionism, because perfectionism can hold you back forever. It can hold you back forever, and it can hold you back from so much greatness. And I mean, as human beings at our core, we always crave authenticity, right? And vulnerability, because that's what we actually desire to see in this world. And when we're operating from perfectionism, we're assuming that people don't want to see those parts of ourselves, but it's in allowing those parts of ourselves to really shine that we actually become highly magnetic, because that's actually what everyone wants from us. Everyone just wants us to be more of ourselves. And that's when, just we shine so bright and we attract the soulmate clients and the soulmate listeners and people who really align with our authentic energy. So beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the more that we are vulnerable, the more other people will be vulnerable with us. Mm-hmm. And that's just like what the world needs. It's more relatability. It's more like feeling raw, because gone are the days where social media wants to see a curated feed of like perfection, right? Because it's not relatable. And so when it comes to like podcasting or anything we're putting out there, it's like the more real we can be with our own feelings and thoughts and opinions and just showing up authentically, like you said, that is magnetic. Like that will attract the people that want to work with you, because nobody wants to work with a perfect boxed present of a person that has no fears or struggles themselves, because we're not going to relate to them. So like we're giving each other permission to really show up in the way that we have been designed to be, which is our authentic self. Like that's such a journey of discovering. And the more we can connect to other people that shine in authentic ways, the more that we can discover what that is for ourselves.
Exactly. So good. And one thing I feel called to talk into next is like the Instagram thing, like you kind of mentioned, is like nobody wants to see like a perfectly curated feed. Like I've noticed in my journey, like at the beginning, since I got Instagram, it was like, I was following so many travel accounts years ago, like way back, nostalgic Instagram times. And, people would wear like, they're wearing the flowy dresses, like on the beach. And it's just like, but it's like, when in reality, is that actually the reality? Like most people are on the beach, in bathing suits, salty hair, like that's actually the real nature of it. And what's interesting about being in Bali is that, and I know that we've gone to some of these places, like these really touristy places. When we were in Nusa Penida, this island, and like basically it's like 1,000,000 degrees, it's like sweaty, it's like tropical vibes. And then there are people in like the huge sun hats and these like long dresses, like just taking a few steps down the stairs so they can get the photo, and then they leave. And they're not actually being present, right? And so they're not actually being authentic and welcoming in nature and like the entire experience, in which then they can embody and then like reflect out there into the world and share from like that authentic space. So I mean, there's an energy dynamic thing to it, but then there's also like, it's not actually real. And I think like, I mean, I've noted my journey, like I used to always, living in Italy, especially, there was like so many beautiful places to take nice photos. And it was so fun sometimes. Like it is fun to get dressed up and have like an intentional photo shoot and do things like that. But it's also important to share vulnerably, right? So it's like balancing that of like, you can be creative and aesthetic because that's like a form of self-expression, but then also bringing that realness into it. And also just like, us on this path of creating our own businesses and our dream lives and being our own bosses so that we can have that freedom. Enjoy the freedom. Don't make it all about the photos, or don't like, don't put those structures in where it has to be perfect, because it's your life by design. It's going to look completely different than anyone else's entrepreneurial journey. And that's the beauty of it, is always like finding your ease and your path of least resistance and sharing and being vulnerable and being expressive in those ways.
Yeah. And that makes me think about when we craft those photos or we see those online, it actually creates so much separation about like what our life looks like and what their life looks like. And then we have such a perception about like how easy and beautiful and just perfect someone's life is.
Mm-hmm.
When in the reality, it's not even the case. Like they're putting up a front, which ties it back into this journey of entrepreneurship and comparison of like, wow, okay, she's going to post how much money she's made and like how easy this is for her. But like, we don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. And so it's very easy to compare when we're all starting our businesses and we're like doing the things and we're seeing what people are putting out there, but it's not authentic. And then we have an idea of like how it's supposed to be or how things are for them and how they are for us. And then it can be very easy to tap into jealousy and like be insecure. And then that doesn't allow us to be in our authentic vibration of being jealous of what other people have, when in reality they don't even have that. It's not even real life, you know? So it's so easy. It's so important to like come back to like the truth, and the truth is your authenticity, you know? So it's like the more we can dive into that, the more we can be our own best friend, deepen the relationship with ourselves so we can create offerings or businesses or opportunities from a place that's like so aligned with us that there's just no option to not do it. That is what is needed in the world.
Yes. Oh, so powerful. And because it was like, it speaks into when we're outwardly focused, it can be very easy. Like if we're not very observing our thoughts, right, and being very conscious of our minds, we can create distorted perceptions of reality. And then we can start to internalize that and it doesn't serve us. But it brings us back to clarity. Just like you said, it's like, okay, perhaps if there's a lot of outward focus, if there's a lot of making things mean things and comparison and all of that, come back inwards and find that true, authentic clarity within, and then move outwards into the world from that space. Because that's the space of magnetism always. That's the space of being your true nature of abundance, right? We're all abundance in the truest form. So like the more that we take that inward journey and we express from that place is when the whole universe aligns and conspires to give us everything that our heart desires. And with that, I know that we're coming to the end of our beautiful, inspiring interview today, Grayson. And thank you so much for being here. And all of Grayson's links will be down below. If there's anything on your heart to share right now, I mean, go right ahead and share it. We're all here for it.
Yeah, I think the last message that's coming through is just the fact that like nobody goes through life and regrets the amount of time that they spent getting to know who they were. You know, we don't come to the end of our life and be like, wow, I wish I didn't know who I was, right? It's like it's an ever evolving process and we learn about ourselves each and every day. Like there's an opportunity to grow and learn always. I think that is just, it's always so present with me of being willing to learn, to take a risk, to take that leap, to trust myself and to just be on this ride of this human experience, you know, and just devoting to whatever is meant for me, you know, devoting to the expansive potential that lies in each of us. So yeah, don't regret ever pouring time and energy into yourself, and like investing in yourself will never not come back to you.
Yes. Ooh, love it. Thank you so much, Grayson. Thank you for all of your wisdom and your beautiful energy and just being exactly who you are. It is like so appreciated. So thank you so much again. And I know that you're going to provide so many ahas, breakthroughs, popcorn pop in for everyone watching. So thank you. Thanks for listening to Note to Self. If you enjoyed this episode, please help me out by rating and reviewing this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If my energy is resonating with you and you feel the call to work with me, there are an abundance of ways to do so. I offer one-to-one life coaching programs, mastermind containers, and DIY courses, all of which are available through my website, zoeariel.co. Until next time, take note of all the abundance that surrounds you as you make the most of this game called life.